We're back with another 50 days in Planet Crafter, so sit down, get comfy, and enjoy this. So we are back straight in with day 51. These next 50 days we are going to smash it. So first thing we do is go to our food growers and we grab the food that is ready to be collected, and then we go to our water and collect that. As you can see, we're on lakes and we're getting closer to moss. We make some explosive powder, then we make a super alloy so we can make the new jetpack tier 3. Obviously we want to be able to get around as quick as possible, so we go outside, give it a quick test, and you see it's raining, but still we are nice and quick. And then we lay down one more drill just so we can keep up with the production. Then we decide we need to head out and do a bit of exploring. You know, it's the best way to find resources really. You find so many chests with super alloys in, you know, rocket engines, everything we're going to need. So we do a bit of exploring and try and find as much things as possible so we can keep expanding and we can keep getting further and further into the terraformation. We find so many of these chests just lying around all over the place. I mean, you can literally, you know, fill an inventory with maybe 10 minutes of just flying around finding random stuff, and we actually find our first fuse which can be used with the new equipment that they brought in. Then again we find one of these underground like bases that someone who's previously been on the planet has built. We go in, we break one of the lockers so we can get through and we can check out what is going on. So as you can see, they've actually built like some sort of really cool underground base, and I wish we could do that instead of just having to be on the surface. But as you can see, we're finding more of these fuses, and again, once you see what we use these fuses for, you'll see that they are actually really useful and they can make our terraformation like shoot up. So anyway, we start heading back home before we run out of oxygen. We start day 54 with a nice meteor shower. Obviously this is what we need, you know, meteors landing right next to all our buildings, potentially killing us and ruining everything we've got. But no, lucky enough, it does not destroy anything, and we're back on with the rocket grind. We want to make sure we get as many rockets as we can fired up, because that'll increase, obviously, all our production by like 1000% each time, which is ridiculous. And obviously our pressure rockets and our heat rockets obviously bring down iridium and uranium down with meteors. We go around and collect a lot of that because it's always stuff that we need and it's used in a lot of advanced crafting recipes. Once we have gathered all the uranium, we then go gather our algae and pick up any resources that has gone into the water, which is just mainly iridium. We then head back to our base to see how we're progressing towards the moss stage, and we can see we're about 40%, so we're increasing massively. We then go and make some more explosive powder, and I believe like after this point I make no more because I find so much and just don't use it. It's unreal. And then we build our first machine optimizer, and this is what we can actually use the fuses for. And as you can see, just the tier 1 affects 5 machines, and that we put the oxygen fuse in, it actually increases our oxygen massively, even better than what we can do with the rockets. But obviously we're on it, we're thinking we're going to use these as much as possible, so we put one down in our old base and we put down a heat multiplier fuse, and obviously that'll work on all our heaters. And as you can see, we're about to hit 50% on moss, and if you look in the top right you can see our terraformation index is actually just skyrocketing up. And then we do a few flower growers because they're always good just to have, and we throw in the golden seed in there because it's our best flower. Anyway, we start the next day by making a couple of fertilizers so we could actually make an improved algae generator, and we decide to keep the tier 2 and the tier 1 going at the same time before making the new screen so we can see how our plants, insects and animals are getting on. Obviously animals is in the future. And during that time we'd actually hit moss. We'd like not paid attention and we've hit moss and we're on our way to flora, so things are going great for us. We then made a couple of bacteria samples and then expanded the base just a little bit so we could add down more lockers, and we had area to expand the base even further because what I've built so far, I'm not going to lie, there's not really much room for expansion, but we do change that in these 50 days. Things get better, the base gets better, we do expand it just a little bit, but a lot of it really is just, you know, improving the storage and making it a bit more, you know, better. Anyway, we're on to day 57, we're back exploring, and we find again another underground base. We keep finding a lot of these with a lot of materials inside, and you know what? There's a lot of messages left, and there's probably a whole story for this and a whole, background for it. But I kind of just like skimmed over the messages and was like, yeah, cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the lore of it, I do not know. Don't ask me. Anyway, we're in a new cave and we're finding these pulsar quartz, and oh my god, these at some point become like amazing, like the best things ever. Why did I not pay more attention when I was finding them earlier on? Because towards the end of the 50 days, I am crying out for them. I spent days trying to find them. Either way, we found this new area. I didn't know if it was like a volcano or what. I think it's like a meteor crash site. But either way, there was so much material, so much loot. And we actually found, again, another underground base. But this one had so much resources in, and it took me so long to go through it. It took me a couple of days just to actually explore this properly. And again, it's the same people leaving their messages. So, who are these people? What are they doing on this planet? I don't know. If I read the message, I'd probably know, but it doesn't matter too much. Anyway, we put down a couple of lockers, a couple of chests, just so we could actually store the stuff we were finding, because we had so much stuff and we had no quick way of getting it back to our base because we were quite far out. And this is the furthest we've travelled out so far. So anyway, we grabbed all the valuable stuff and we started making our way back home, just because we did not want to be losing any of this stuff. We were smart. We placed down a marker and called it loot, gave it a unique colour so we always knew how to get back to there and get all the loot that we'd left. And whilst on the way home, we actually discovered, why didn't I build a base here? That waterfall was beautiful. Then we found this weird, black and white area. I mean, we were finding all these cool places I've never been to. Anyway, we're on to day 60 now, 10 days in, and we've just crafted a biodome tier 2. And this will actually create tree bark for us, and again, that is going to be useful. That is not just something you can just get, you can't just find it. Again, we're down with more machine optimizers. We want to make sure that we're actually, putting them to some good use, and we put all our good drills in the same areas where it affects them well. We then decided it might not be a bad shout to actually send off some of these GPS rockets, so we can actually have a good look at the map and see where things are. But I mean, I feel like the maps definitely could be worked on, because you can't see where you are, you can't really see too much other than just, like an over-the-top layout. And then we expand our power area just a bit more, because again, we're running out of power really quick. Obviously, these nuclear generators are good, but we need something better, and we will get there in the long run. But now we're firing off plant rockets. We're making sure that our plants are getting up there. We're making sure that everything that we're building that is new is making sure it's getting a big boost at the start, so we can get all the new stuff we can build nice and quick. And then we build the new drill. It's a tier 4 drill. Look at the size of it, massive. But anyway, we're back to exploring today. We head over towards the loot, and we're looking to get some more stuff that we can bring back. And as you can see, it's not a quick journey to get there. We've got to go through so many random areas and go through all these different ways, and we're finding random loot on the way there as it is, and we're finding these new areas just travelling there. So every time we're going back and forth, we're finding new stuff, and it's always good, but it's a long journey, and it takes nearly a full day just to get there and then a full day to get back. Anyway, we go past the beautiful waterfall that I wish I made a base near. We're back through all these caves, and we are finally back home after a long 2-day journey just to gather some stuff. And I mean, look how close we are to trees. But anyway, we put down our first new generator. Look at it. And we placed down one of the big new heaters, and we sort of rearranged our power area because we realised it was a mess. And then we placed down a plant grower and put in a golden seed, because again, golden seeds are the best. We want to make sure we're doing good. But look at it. Boom, 100%, we're onto trees now. We're now going to see trees growing around, and we're actually able to make a gas extractor, so we're actually able to extract gas from the air and, bring in some crazy stuff. But again, we're back on with rockets. Rockets are super useful. We're going to keep using them. And as you can see, we're actually able to zoom out on the map now. But again, it don't really show out. But we built this air filter hoping it was going to make our oxygen go down that little bit less. And because I made that new generator, I thought it was actually going to, open up these fusion reactors. But now, what a waste of time. But don't worry, we figure out in the future how to do that. Anyway, we're over at the waterfall and we found a wreck, and we go in, we go exploring. I mean, look at all this amazing stuff that they have. Like, I should have done this sooner. But anyway, we put a few lockers down, we gather everything we can and make sure we mark it so we know where we're going if we want to get back. Then I thought, you know what, let's climb up the big rock, let's see what's on top of the waterfall. Is there anything good? Where's this water coming from? But we find something quite good, I'd say, a gold chest, and obviously these give you a super alloy just for breaking. And inside, I mean, the loot's not the best, but it's better than nothing. But we go for everything we found and we make sure we only bring back the most important stuff first. But right next to the waterfall, we discover this sort of like active volcano area, and we see the obsidian, and you know, this place looks amazing, but we're not ready to go there just yet. We wanted to make sure we got our loot back, built some rockets, made sure we expanded as much as we can, increase the terraformation before we headed back there. Day 67, we've placed down 2 new tier 4 heaters because obviously, like I keep saying, the main goal of this game is to terraform the planet, and the only way to keep doing that at a good rate is to keep building stuff and improving. As you can see, our stuff are going up. But again, day 68, more rockets, we're making sure we're sending them all up. Plants, seeds, pressure and heat, I mean, they all need to keep improving rapidly. We might have accidentally sent 2 rockets at the same time and almost, you know, blew ourselves up. And obviously we had to check how our plants were coming along, and I'd say they're going quite well. But anyway, again, we're putting down more flower spreaders, we need them, we've got golden seeds spare, let's get them going. Then we're back with more rockets. I mean, we ain't going to slow down with rockets for the rest of these 50 days. We are rocket crazy. And obviously we go around collecting the uranium that comes from the rocket, because again, uranium's useful, it's used in a lot of machines. Then we decide to actually port our deconstruction chip tier 2 into some use and actually get circuit boards for the first time, because we always see these but we actually never used them. And then we built an incubator, and we weren't really too sure what to do with it, but we discovered that we could actually make bees, butterflies, silkworms, so that is something for the future. Day 69, yeah, I know, was spent going back to the waterfall to gather the loot that we gathered a couple of days before, and on the way there, obviously, you know, looking for any loot we can find and grabbing anything that's any useful. So we gather up everything that we need, and then we actually decide to go and check out the volcano area and grab some obsidian to see if it was actually going to be used for anything that we could use right now. Day 70 starts with us actually placing down food growers in our main base, because we didn't always need to be travelling back and forth, and we actually wanted to increase the amount of food we were growing. Then we deconstructed our old machine optimizer and made the tier 2 version, which now affected 8 machines, and we could have 3 fuses in at once. And as you can see, it's made a massive increase on our pressure. We then went and did the exact same thing with the heat, but we decided to take down all the heat ones in there and go place it over with our new tier 4 ones. And obviously, because of these tier 3 ones, they couldn't be placed outside. We had to build a little building just to place the tier 3 ones in, and then we deconstructed the door because we didn't really need to be getting in there anyway. And then we made the new water filter, so now we could drink from any water anywhere. We didn't have to now use the bottles. We could go up to water on the floor and just drink from it. And as you can see, we've already finished the tree stage. We're now onto insects, and we're getting closer to actually breathable atmosphere, meaning now we won't run out of oxygen. Day 71, we headed back over to the waterfall area before having a look at what loot we had left over, and then making our way over to the volcano area, where we grabbed a bunch of obsidian, looked for chests, and grabbed super alloy that was actually just laying around on the floor. So this is actually going to be very useful for us because super alloy is something we run out of constantly. And then before the day ended, we decided to make a little building there, put our locker down so we actually could have a look around the crash wreck and see what was inside. Day 72 started with us going into the wreck. Obviously this was quite a big one. We had, so many different places to look, and we found some quite good loot inside here. Once we had arrived back home, we actually saw that we were 30% of the way over to the breathable atmosphere. And if you look at the bottom left where our O2 meter is, you can see it is now only taking 1 oxygen a second compared to what it was taking before. And we placed down the communications antenna so we could actually receive messages that we were getting and look through them instead of just, ignoring them all. And it actually saved any message that we found from any wrecks or any underground bases or anything like that. We then placed what we needed into the incubator so we actually could make butterflies. Day 73, we are back with rockets. Told you we're not slowing down with rockets. Rockets are going to be going off nearly every other day. We then placed down another machine optimizer, but in the area where all our flower spreaders were and our grass growers. Obviously we had to break our old ones and bring them closer so they actually worked better, because obviously there's only a certain range of the machine optimizers work. And this actually took us just shy of 60% to breathable atmosphere, and as you can see the bottom left, we're now at 0.6 oxygen a second that we're losing outside. We then built some food growers tiers 2 so they actually increase quicker, and then we placed down a few more tier 4 heaters before we placed down our first tree spreader. And this was the first time we used this, and we had to actually place it in water. I'm not sure why, because you can't really use too much of the area. But shock, we're there with more rockets, we ain't slowing down. What did I say? And then we actually made a teleporter. So we called this one home, and then we needed to find a place to place our next teleporter. So on the way over to the volcano, we actually found a few pulsar quartz and a new area. I'd never been to the mushroom river before, and I wasn't too sure what we were looking for. I was expecting to be able to pick up mushrooms, but no, we actually found a warden's key. And looking back at it now, I should have seen the coordinates on the base of the warden's key, but that will become, useful in a few days' time. Anyway, we went back to the waterfall, and we actually discovered that you could go into the waterfall and they would loot inside, as well as a few messages. Anyway, we made our way to the volcano and we placed down our teleporter and called it Obsidian, just so we knew that if we were going there, we would have to go get Obsidian. We then found another underground base, but this one didn't really have too much in, it was a bit of a boring one. Day 75 and we are making our way back home. We use a teleporter for the first time and it is super useful. And as we can see, we are closing in on breathable atmosphere. We then build a butterfly dome because we feel like that's going to be useful at some point. But either way, we finally get to breathable atmosphere and we unlock the tree spreader tier 3. Anyway, in the butterfly dome, we place down our first butterflies and we can actually see that things are going well. And then we actually see that some of the trees are now starting to spread. But anyway, we take the warden's key to the door that we found earlier on in the first 50 days, and we can't figure out what we're doing, so we think, something must be wrong. Either way, we went through a cave and actually found you could climb a vine and get to the top of one of the mountains. And don't get me wrong, the loot wasn't great. I was hoping we was going to find something cool and, something unique, but it's just another place that we'd never been to before. We then decided to build a trade rocket. And we weren't too sure what any of this was, but we decided to have a look and we saw that we could actually get Terra tokens from sending valuable items off-world and selling them and we'd get Terra tokens back. And with them Terra tokens, we could buy stuff and get them shipped onto the island. It was just, you know, like the usual trading sort of port, but you actually could get some very useful stuff. But here we are, we're back again, sending off a bunch of rockets. Told you we don't slow down with the rockets. We want to make sure that we are constantly sending off rockets and improving our terraformation. We send off our third trade rocket. We've got about 50 Terra tokens worth of loot, and at the time I was thinking 50 Terra tokens, that sounds like a lot, but it's not. And we get a lot more in the future. But anyway, we decided to get the first map that we could actually use whilst walking around. This wasn't on a screen, we could just press M and the map would pop up. And obviously I was thinking, you know what, this could be useful, we're going to make sure that we use it a lot, but we never end up using it. Anyway, I remembered a cave that we'd found with a bunch of pulsar quartz in, and we didn't have a use until we could actually make fusion energy cells. And these were very useful. These were like what we actually could put in these generators, and I weren't too sure what we were going to get from it, but they unlocked these amazing loot rooms. And look how many Terra tokens you can get, and fuses. I mean, this is what we needed all along. And this was it. After this point I was like, pulsar quartz are my best friend, it's all I want. But then they are very finite, they run out very quick. But we decide for the rest of the day we're going to expand the base and make a better storage area, because ours is rubbish. I mean, we have no room at all. Things are just dumped all over. Anyway, day 79 hits and we notice a strange symbol on our screen, and I wasn't too sure what it was. And when I went back to the Warden's altar, I actually could see the coordinates this time, and I felt a bit stupid. I was like, oh, after all this time, you know, I could have found these days ago. But anyway, we went to these coordinates and it was another door, but this time we could place down the key and actually open up the door, and it brought us into a weird sort of cave area where there was a lot of messages from these people called a Warden. And these obviously were people that lived on the planet before us. These were people that lived there and grew there and decided to leave the planet as it was getting destroyed. And as we found a really cool ship just left around, we actually discovered we could now start picking up lava, and this was going to be useful for obviously, you know, growing more animals and making like bees and butterflies and silkworms, a lot. But again, we found more coordinates, and this time we were going for it. And this time it was for the big door that we found earlier on in the series. I mean, the scale of this is unreal. I mean, I wasn't expecting to find anything like this. I thought it was just going to be, yeah, terraform a planet and this is it. But the fact that there's an actual big old backstory and a lore going on, and, you know, you can find these Warden keys and use them to unlock, you know, special stuff and all these mad areas is actually unreal. Anyway, we stumbled across some old Warden buildings, and we had a bunch of keys lying around and a lot of loot. And it was good. There was a lot of lore all around. We could find out different stuff. But we pretty much went round and found all the Warden keys we could, read any messages left about, and just made sure to grab all the loot we can find. With our 3 Warden keys acquired, we actually could unlock the door and find this weird, like, sort of globe. Like, I don't know what it was doing or what it was for. But anyway, we found, again, more coordinates, and we used these coordinates to find another altar that we could open up, and this would actually open up the mountain. We made our way through the mountain, and it was like a really nice jungle area. And for some reason you couldn't fly through any of this area, and I think it was because, you know, to stop anyone trying to bug the place out. But this was just like, you know, it reminds me of like old Mayan runes, and there was one message and it said once we lived. But again, we had to do what we did in the first place and go around and find keys, and they were spread out all over the place. Once we finally found all the keys and we placed them onto the altar, it finally opened up the final door, and inside was going to be some of the best loot we could find. Golden butterflies. I mean, like, what are the chances of finding just random golden butterflies? But these, the percentage of these that they gave us the boost was unreal. But again, it's good loot, it's stuff we're going to use, it's stuff we don't have to craft, and stuff we don't have to go around spending ages to find, so it is all good. But day 82 came and we finally left the Warden area and made our way back home. So we decided to change up our boring butterflies for our golden ones, and I mean, look at that. They gave us a 1500% increase for each one. And as you can see, like, the pure increase on the insects was unreal. But we went back to our storage area and started placing down a few more lockers and started labelling everything so everything had a place to go. Because what we wanted to do was make sure everything looked nice, and I just started dumping stuff everywhere and it was so difficult to find stuff. And then we made our drone station. I had no ideas what the drones were for, but in the future they do become useful. Anyway, we go to our trading station and we get a kitchen being delivered, and then we make our first drone. And then we just went back to expanding the storage area even more. There are just so many items in the game, you need so much storage, but we actually figured out how to make the drone thing work. And what you have to do is set one locker to the demand and the other to the supply, and as you can see, the drone will fly between the lockers and just drop the stuff off. So it was very good for transporting things very far away. Anyway, we made our tree spreader tier 3 and placed down our tree seeds, and then we crafted a few more fusion power cells so we could unlock more wrecks and hopefully find something good. But we wasn't very smart when it came to this one because we only brought one and it needed 2. So we made sure we grabbed it off quick so it didn't get locked in, and we wanted to make sure we could actually use it onto a different wreck. We made the tier 2 torch, and actually it's like one of the best upgrades you can get because it made everything so much brighter when you're in the wrecks. We decided to go into this wreck here and put our new torch to good use, and as you can see, it makes everything so much more visible. Then we put our fusion cell to good use to make sure we get some good loot. Then we place down our first auto crafter and hope to use that in the future. We then get cocoa seeds and wheat seeds as well with the kitchen before we place down a brand new power source just over in the energy area, because again we're running out of power too quick. We unlock our cooking station and we place it down to see that we can make actually loads of different food using different materials, honey, cocoa, flour, and we see that it's actually useful. And then we see a locker storage tier 2 and we think, you know what, that could be quite useful. We are running out of room so quick, so we order that and see how it's going to be. We then go on a bit of an exploring sort of spree to find some more equipment, hoping to find some pulsar quartz because we are running so low and we need them for everything at the moment. We go back to our old loot spot to see it is completely changed. There's no more fire, there's no more magma, and now it's all green and watery and looks nice. We place down a beehive, and with that we're now able to make honey. So over time it will randomly produce honey for us, and we can use that in cooking recipes and different stuff. We then again expanded the storage area before getting hit in the face by a meteor, which actually ends up killing me because it takes all my health away. I mean, it's something you've got to do at least once. We then sort out the storage area, put all our food into lockers, before unlocking our locker storage too and seeing that this is actually amazing. Look how much storage it gives us. So we decide just to put all our basic materials in there before sending off a few more rockets, before watching them shoot up into the air and hoping that this was going to make our terraformation go through the roof. We then decide to head over to the volcano to go looking for specifically super alloy. We were running so low on it and we needed more. And whilst exploring, we found actually a few different caves with a lot of chests in them, and we're finding quite good loot. I mean, these golden chests are always the best ones. One, because you get super alloys just from the chest itself, but the loot in there is usually quite good. Then we are back sending off more rockets. We then head back into the base to see we're actually onto the fish stage now. We are now able to have fish. So we make an aquarium and then we go looking for fish. And we couldn't find any anywhere, so we look a bit stupid at this point. Day 90, we decided to place down a tier 2 miner, hoping to find somewhere that we could mine pulsar quartz. We went everywhere and we could not find this anywhere. And, I soon realised you can't mine them, because I did this with the tier 2 and the tier 3, and everywhere we went you could not mine them. So obviously we pulled out the tier 3, and this actually let you choose what was mined. And you could mine sulfur from anywhere, which was quite good, but we didn't really have much of a use for it. And everywhere we went, again, there was no pulsar quartz. But anyway, with the trade and rocket, we got a new, better tree seed sent down before carrying on, trying to find somewhere where we could mine pulsar quartz. This was before, on day 93, we stumbled on a brand new area we've never found before. And it's actually been somewhere quite close, but we've just never looked. And we were finding quite good loot, we were finding good new areas that we'd never been to, and look at this massive, deep water cave. Kind of reminds me of your mum's. Anyway, we're going to ignore that, we'll cut that out. But yeah, there was some really good loot down here, and I mean, we actually found an old base that has obviously flooded, and I wasn't expecting that to find that down here. I thought this was just going to be, you know, like a little cave, maybe one chest or something, but there was actually quite a lot down here. We actually found some more stuff from the wardens, as well as a whole new area. So this place didn't really have any loot, it was just more of like a lore area. I weren't really too bothered about any of it, but I still gave it a read and put it into the video in case there is anyone watching this that is interested in the lore of it. But as you can see, we found a bit of loot, found some good stuff, but we already had a full inventory, so yeah, it was cool to see, but we couldn't really use any of it. We made our way to the top to see actually where we was somewhere quite familiar. We've gone past this so many times and just never realised, but anyway, we spent the next day putting down our tier 3 drill, hoping to find somewhere we can mine the pulsar quartz, but come on, we ain't going to do it, it can't be that easy. But we do actually find a quite simple way of doing it in the next couple of days. We notice that we'll actually soon unlock the ability to craft the pulsar quartz, so we're straight on it, we're putting butterflies outside, we're making sure that our terraformation gets up so we can craft them. But we get the new tree seed and we think, you know what, let's get some fish eggs, we can't find any anywhere, this must be the only way to get them. We then place down the tree spreader and put in the new tree seed, give the auto crafter a go and realise, you know what, it's kind of cool, but you know, it's not the best thing. We then decide to finally place down the tier 3 auto miner and just get it to mine obsidian whilst we go out and collect some more super alloy. Before we place down a recycler, and we use this so we can actually recycle our super alloy rods, which will give us 8 super alloys. Day 98, you guessed it, we're sending more rockets. We ain't messing about. We are rocket mad. We can call me the Rocket Man because we are sending these off. And as you can see, we can do it. We can make pulsar quartz. We have a look what we need and think, let's use the auto crafter. Everything's in range. We should be able to do it, and we can. We can now make enough pulsar quartz so we can actually go to the wreck and actually open up with the fusion cell generator. I feel like this one was, I feel like I got ripped off with this. I mean, the loot was not the best. There wasn't much of it, and I either must have missed a bunch, or it really is just this bad. I kind of regret it. I think it just was not worth it. Day 99, and we put our fish into the aquarium. Look at it, we've got a big old fish tank, and we actually now have animals growing. And as you can see, for some reason, the place turned blue. I mean, why is it turning blue? I mean, it makes no sense to me. The place turned blue. But here we are, day 100. It's 100 days on our very own planet. We went from nothing to something. Look at what we've made. The place looks amazing. We started off in this little spacecraft here, and this is our home now. We'd finished the storage area, we've got an aquarium, we've got, you know, an incubator, we've got food growers, we've got everything you could need to survive on a planet. And we've done this all by ourselves, with no help of anyone else, just, you know, them leaving their loot for us. But, you know, that's besides the point, it's finders keepers. But if you did enjoy, remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. If you do have any suggestions, leave them in the comment section and let me know what game I should play next. But thank you for all your support. I'll see you in the next one.